Meri Brown, the first and once legal wife of Sister Wives patriarch Kody Brown, is no stranger to heartbreak, solitude, and public scrutiny. Yet, even in the aftermath of her split from Kody after decades of a deeply complicated and emotionally strained relationship, Meri is now emerging as a stronger, more self-assured woman unafraid to speak her truth, and her latest Instagram post proves just how far she's come. In a recent emotionally charged message, Meri reflected on the type of love she will never tolerate again, and it didn't take fans long to connect the dots back to Kody. The post began quietly enough, reflective, even soft at first glance. But as Meri continued to peel back the layers of her feelings, it became clear that this wasn't just any introspective moment. This was a powerful declaration of self-worth, a rejection of her past emotional neglect, and a subtle but sharp roast of the man who she once believed would be her partner for life. The one line that struck a chord with fans more than any other was her heartfelt cry for genuine connection. "Show me you value me. I have something to offer, and when I feel valued." That unfinished sentence hit like a lightning bolt, both in its quiet strength and in its haunting familiarity to longtime Sister Wives viewers who witnessed Meri's slow emotional unraveling over the years. For nearly 3 decades, Meri stood by Kody, first as his only legal wife and later as a spiritual wife when Robin Brown came into the family and legally married Kody. Over time, Meri's place in the family structure was increasingly diminished. Her relationship with Kody grew cold and distant, eventually disintegrating into little more than polite coexistence. For years, Meri stayed hopeful, dropping hints that she was open to reconciliation, that she was willing to put in the work, but that effort was rarely reciprocated. Fans of the show painfully recall scenes where Kody appeared emotionally checked out, even disdainful at times, especially when talking about Meri. He often used phrases like "we don't have a marriage" and made it clear that he had no interest in being intimate or emotionally vulnerable with her. In turn, Meri was left stranded in a relationship devoid of passion, comfort, or basic affection. Her desperation for even a semblance of closeness with Kody was palpable on screen. And yet she stayed for years, clinging to a version of love that offered her nothing in return. That's why this recent post is so poignant. It feels like a declaration of Meri finally waking up from a long emotional slumber. The tone is neither angry nor bitter, but unmistakably resolute. She writes as someone who knows now what she deserves, and who is drawing a clear boundary between her painful past and her promising future. She doesn't need to mention Kody by name, the subtext screams volumes. The kind of love she's referring to, the kind she'll never accept again, is the kind she had with him, love that made her feel invisible, unworthy, disposable. In her Instagram caption, Meri elaborated on her emotional growth by discussing the difference between being tolerated and being valued. That choice of words wasn't lost on readers. For years, many fans felt that Kody tolerated Meri's presence in the family more than he cherished it. His tone in interviews, his body language, and his emotional coldness painted a clear picture, one that Meri finally seems to be addressing head-on. The line, "I have something to offer," feels particularly powerful because for so long, Meri's contributions were overlooked, minimized, or outright dismissed. She was the first to take a legal step back for Robin, believing it was the right thing for the family. She was the first to really build a life on her own terms, launching her bed and breakfast in Utah and seeking out opportunities for personal and financial independence. She was often portrayed as the lonely wife on the sidelines, but she has steadily carved a new narrative for herself, one where she is the main character, not a forgotten supporting role. What makes Meri's subtle roast of Kody so effective is that it doesn't come from a place of hatred or vengeance. It's not loud. It's not cruel. It's a soft and unflinching truth from a woman who has been through emotional warfare and has chosen to heal without burning bridges unnecessarily. Still, the undertones are crystal clear. She will never again settle for a one-sided love that leaves her emotionally bankrupt. The impact of her post was immediate. Fans flooded the comments with words of encouragement, applauding her strength and resonating deeply with her experience. Many wrote that they, too, had stayed too long in relationships that made them feel small. Others pointed out that Meri's evolution has been one of the most inspiring arcs of Sister Wives in recent years. After years of emotional isolation, after standing by and watching Kody prioritize other wives, Meri is finally choosing herself, and she's doing it with quiet dignity. Even those who were once skeptical of Meri, especially during the years when she clung to a clearly fractured relationship, are now celebrating her transformation. She has become a symbol of resilience, proof that it's never too late to start over. Her journey shows that even after decades of pain, even after being cast aside emotionally and spiritually, a woman can still rise and redefine her worth. Her Instagram presence in recent months has been equally telling. Rather than post cryptic quotes about sadness or longing like she once did, Meri now shares content that feels light, empowered, and even joyful. She's often smiling, hiking, spending time with close friends, or promoting her businesses. There is a sense of rebirth, as if she's reclaiming parts of herself that were long buried beneath the weight of a failing marriage. Her message, "Show me you value me," feels like a challenge not just to future partners but to the world at large. Meri isn't looking to be a placeholder anymore. She's seeking authenticity, effort, and mutual respect. She knows she brings value to the table, and she's no longer willing to entertain anyone who doesn't see it. This emotional milestone for Meri also marks a cultural turning point for Sister Wives viewers who have been closely following the fallout between Kody and his wives. One by one, Meri, Christine, and Yanel have left the man they once saw as their spiritual anchor. And while Christine and Yanel have often been more vocal and direct in their criticisms of Kody's failures, Meri's quiet grace has given her words a different kind of power. They linger not because they are loud, but because they echo with lived truth. Kody, for his part, has remained largely silent on Meri's emotional posts. While he has made general statements about the breakdowns in his plural marriages, he has not directly addressed Meri's evolving public persona or her sharp reflections on their past. Still, it's unlikely that he's unaware. Meri's voice, once subdued and unsure, now rings with clarity, and that's something even Kody can't ignore. As Meri steps into this new chapter of her life, her subtle roast of the love she once accepted has become a rallying cry for anyone who has ever stayed in a relationship longer than they should have. She doesn't need revenge. She doesn't need grand speeches. Her healing speaks for itself, as does her refusal to ever accept anything less than being seen, valued, and cherished. The most recent season of Sister Wives has offered up more tea than fans ever expected, with Kody Brown and his former wives unloading years of secrets, frustrations, and hard truths. What began as a show chronicling a plural family trying to live in unity has unraveled into an unflinching portrait of emotional fractures and personal awakenings. Gone are the days when Kody sat at the center of a happy family. Instead, this season gave viewers an unfiltered look at what went wrong, with Kody, Christine, Yanel, and Meri all offering brutally honest insights into their former lives together and the deep emotional wounds they carried behind the scenes. This time, nothing was left on the cutting room floor. For the first time in years, the women spoke with open resentment, unshackled from the weight of preserving an image of familial harmony. Christine, who had long been labeled the peacemaker, finally laid down her burden and spoke candidly about why she chose to leave. Yanel, often seen as the logical and independent one, shocked fans by admitting just how much she had endured emotionally before finally deciding she was done. Meri, long painted as the dutiful and lonely wife, emerged this season as someone completely reborn, finally able to look back on her decades-long relationship with Kody with honesty and clarity. And Kody, the once commanding father figure and spiritual leader, no longer maintained the composed image he once prided himself on. Instead, he lashed out, grew defensive, contradicted himself, and ultimately exposed more of his inner turmoil than ever before. One of the biggest revelations came when Christine explained that she had spent years feeling unwanted and unloved. She detailed moments in their marriage when she tried to express her needs only to be brushed off or met with indifference. For Christine, the tipping point wasn't just the absence of intimacy, it was the absence of respect. She made it clear that being relegated to the background while Kody openly favored Robyn was emotionally devastating. During the season, she tearfully admitted that she couldn't teach her daughters to accept less than they deserve if she continued accepting so little herself. Christine's bold exit wasn't just a personal move, it was a message to her children and to viewers that no one should stay in a relationship that makes them feel invisible. Yanel's transformation over the season was equally dramatic. While she had always been the voice of reason, her quiet tolerance had its limits. In past seasons, Yanel managed to maintain a civil and almost business-like relationship with Kody, but this season revealed just how much resentment had built up behind the scenes. She opened up about the lack of partnership and emotional connection. There was a moment where she acknowledged that while she and Kody had once been friends and partners in parenting, they hadn't had a fulfilling romantic relationship in years. Perhaps most shocking to longtime viewers was Yanel's confrontation with Kody, where she stood her ground and refused to let him gaslight her. Their heated argument became one of the most talked-about scenes of the season, not because it was dramatic, but because it was real, two people who had built a life together finally admitting it had fallen apart. Then there's Meri, whose emotional arc was arguably the most poignant. For years, fans watched her struggle with loneliness and rejection. Her efforts to rebuild her relationship with Kody were met with apathy at best and contempt at worst. This season, however, Meri stepped into her power. She stopped waiting for Kody to see her worth. She began openly acknowledging that the love she had been holding out for was never going to come. In one particularly revealing moment, she said that she no longer felt any emotional connection to Kody and hadn't for a long time. That admission felt like a final release, a breaking of chains that had bound her to a one-sided marriage for decades. Watching Meri claim her self-respect and refuse to be Kody's emotional afterthought was both satisfying and heartbreaking. Kody, meanwhile, did not take any of these revelations lightly. In fact, he spent much of the season trying to rewrite history, placing blame on his ex-wives for the crumbling of the family while denying his own role in its deterioration. He spoke at length about betrayal, claiming that Christine had disrespected him and the family. He accused Yanel of choosing their children over their marriage. He even referred to Meri as someone he hadn't considered a wife for a long time. These statements were jarring not only in their bluntness but in their hypocrisy. Viewers were quick to point out that Kody seemed more concerned with control than with love. Instead of showing remorse or understanding, he often lashed out, painting himself as the victim in a situation where he held most of the power for years. One of the most emotional moments came when Kody described feeling disrespected by his older children, especially the ones he shared with Yanel and Christine. He claimed that they had been poisoned against him by their mothers. But the children, some of whom appeared in confessionals, told a different story. They spoke of a father who had grown distant, who prioritized Robyn and her children, and who had seemingly forgotten the rest of his family. This generational divide was stark, and it underscored a major theme of the season: abandonment. Robyn, too, was not spared from the tension. Although she often kept her comments neutral, this season exposed just how much her position in the family had caused resentment. She broke down in tears multiple times, claiming she never wanted to be the favorite wife. Yet her actions often suggested otherwise. Her close relationship with Kody, their legal marriage, and their secluded lifestyle stood in sharp contrast to the struggles of the other wives. While she may not have intended to cause division, the optics were clear. Robyn was the queen and the others were cast aside. This season also featured several tell-all interviews that pushed the drama even further. In these sessions, the cast sat down individually with the host and responded to each other's confessions. Kody's defensiveness was on full display, as was his complete lack of emotional insight. He often contradicted previous statements, and when confronted with footage of his past behavior, he dismissed it as being taken out of context. In contrast, Christine and Yanel remained composed and thoughtful, clearly more interested in healing than in vindication. Perhaps what made this season so compelling was that it stripped away the illusion. For years, Sister Wives was built on the idea that plural marriage could work if everyone was committed. But this season proved that commitment means nothing without love, respect, and emotional reciprocity. Kody's inability to maintain balance among his wives, his favoritism, and his unwillingness to self-reflect led to the disintegration of the family. Meanwhile, his ex-wives proved that strength sometimes lies in walking away. As the season closed, each of the women seemed to be on their own journey of self-discovery. Christine was engaged to a new man and visibly radiant. Yanel was embracing her independence and focusing on her children and career. Meri was reinventing herself and exploring what it means to love herself fully. And Kody, though still legally and spiritually connected to Robyn, looked like a man grappling with the consequences of his choices. Entangled past, Sister Wives star Mary Brown is ready to love again but on her own terms. Once tethered to a polygamous family structure that defined her for over a decade, Mary has been gradually reclaiming her identity. Her emotional detachment from the Brown family's church, which she described as a spiritual divorce, marked a turning point. It wasn't just about leaving a belief system, it was about stepping into herself, alone but not broken. Not long after her departure, she entered a relationship with Amos Andrews. The romance, though brief, was meaningful. Lasting 4 months, the two decided to part ways in early 2024. There were no betrayals or scandals, just an honest realization that they were moving in different directions. They realized that they had different dreams and points of view, Mary shared at the time. While thankful for their time together, she acknowledged the pressure of online attention made it hard for them to nurture what they had. The online scrutiny and endless speculations about them made it difficult for them to fight for each other, she explained. A clear vision of love, what Mary wants in a partner. Still, Mary is not one to dwell in disappointment. In true Mary fashion, she's choosing growth over grief, and now she's letting the world in on the kind of partner she's hoping to find. In a recent Instagram video, she spoke candidly about her expectations in love, and they might surprise you. I want to find a man who's very intentional, Mary said, stressing the importance of a partner who's willing to pursue connection deliberately. I want the guy to make the steps of wanting to know me happen. She still believes in effort. Chivalry is still not dead with me, she added. For Mary, it's not about perfection. It's about presence. She's not asking for perfection, but she wants her future man to show that he values her. In return, she's ready to meet that energy fully. She clarified that she has something to offer and that she will fully show up and commit to the relationship. More than anything, Mary is craving authenticity and peace. She dreams of a love that feels safe, joyful, and emotionally generous. She's also expecting to experience peace, laughter, and comfort with her future man. As for now, she's at peace with waiting. Until then, I'll keep living, loving, and holding space for a true connection, the kind that's rooted, real, and reciprocal, she wrote in the caption, words that resonated deeply with fans. Fans applaud her growth and grace. One follower responded, "Good. Stay firm with your standards. You deserve someone that adores you and treats you with the utmost respect and love." Another wrote, "You are freaking awesome, Mary Brown." The love from her community didn't stop there. Treat him like you would want to be treated. It is 100% effort from each person IMO. And this one simply said what many were thinking. Thank you so much for this post, truly elegant and inspiring. Finding joy in the journey with or without a partner. While her heart may be open to love, Mary's life doesn't orbit around it. She's been traveling, connecting, and exploring on her own terms. Back in May, she flew solo to Boston to attend Mel Robbins' Let Them Theory book tour, documenting her journey and wanderings around the historic city. Not long after, she hit the road again, this time with her friend Amber, for a spontaneous road trip packed with tons of great conversations. She's also pouring energy into her passion project, Liz's Heritage Inn. Renovations are underway, and Mary believes that the excitement she feels engaging with others may be tied to the energy she's putting into rebuilding not just a home but a life. For now, Mary is embracing this chapter with grace, grit, and an unshakable sense of self-worth. Love, if and when it arrives, will have to meet her exactly where she stands. Entangled past, Sister Wives star Mary Brown is ready to love again but on her own terms. Once tethered to a polygamous family structure that defined her for over a decade, Mary has been gradually reclaiming her identity. Her emotional detachment from the Brown family's church, which she described as a spiritual divorce, marked a turning point. It wasn't just about leaving a belief system, it was about stepping into herself, alone but not broken. Not long after her departure, she entered a relationship with Amos Andrews. The romance, though brief, was meaningful. Lasting 4 months, the two decided to part ways in early 2024. There were no betrayals or scandals, just an honest realization that they were moving in different directions. They realized that they had different dreams and points of view, Mary shared at the time. While thankful for their time together, she acknowledged the pressure of online attention made it hard for them to nurture what they had. The online scrutiny and endless speculations about them made it difficult for them to fight for each other.